All right. Stage 2. Remember this analogy that I gave you, right? Two key change events: withdrawals, re-engagement, and blame and softening. You always work with the withdrawal first. It's slow drip, right? It's drip, drip, and drip. Right? It's slow. Withdrawals will only give you probably a little bit at a time, and you build from that. Maybe initially they would say to you, "Oh, I don't know how I'm feeling. I don't know. I don't know." I hear that a lot, right? I don't know, and they really meant it. Remember, it's not like they're lying to you. They really don't know. And as Gail Palmer said to me once, oftentimes when withdrawals is saying to you, "I don't know," usually it's something about shame. Shame makes you hide. Shame makes you don't know, because you don't want to go there. And many of them have learned many years to learn not to know, right? They learn to shut that part out, to numb out. That's pretty common. But with withdrawals, what you do is you work with them, you help them, and each time they get something, you go like, "Great, now you know like 5% today." So I would say this to them. So next time when you come back, then we will not start with "I don't know," right? So, you know. And then I would say to them, "Now you know 5%. Next time we're going to build from that. Would that be okay for you?" Because I want them to own their feelings, right? So those are things that will how we work with the withdrawals, with re-engagement. Blame and softening. Again, blame and softening, according to the research, is one of the key events of change in EFT. When we can help the blamer, the pursuer, to soften, then usually things becomes way more calmer, and now that the real needs are being passed over, right? The real attachment emotions are being passed over. Instead of me being upset, angry at you, now it's like I'm feeling lonely. I feel like I don't know whether you need me. Do I matter to you? Am I a priority to you? Usually for pursuers or blamers, they're typically a little bit more aware of their emotions. Typically, not always, but typically. So that's why a lot of times it's not too hard to get them to emote. Right? They can say to you probably primary emotions right off the bat. "I'm lonely in this, I can't reach the guy, I feel like I don't matter to him." We're not surprised to hear that in pretty early. Right? But remember, they can name it, doesn't mean they actually are willing to feel it in that moment. Because now they have learned to use anger, right, as a way to protect their vulnerability. So at home, all the partner experiences the anger, the criticism, the blaming, right? But when we can soften that, and again, step 5, 6, and 7, usually 5, 6 a lot, right? To distill, right? To deepen, to distill, and then help them disclose their primary emotions usually. And now the listening partner, the withdrawer, are now forced to have to respond to that in some ways. I just don't know whether it's good or bad. Again, I lose control at that point, right? Once I pass things over, now it's like, well, how can we help them to connect better that way? Okay, and usually this have many slow drips. This have usually a few spurts, right? The faucet is overwhelming sometimes. In fact, you would actually help them to turn down the tap so that it doesn't become too overwhelming. It doesn't come out as like an attack, but more like in slower burst. So that for the withdrawer who are not used to this kind of overwhelmingness, now they have an ability to actually take that in, right? And able to really get what's happening to their partner. Does that make sense, guys? Questions? Anything? Do we need to slow down a bit? Just to check. How are you guys doing? Okay?
Such a good image.
Huh?
It's such a helpful image.
Yes. I wish I can take credit for this, but it's not me. It's I think Gail was the one who told me about this.
It was helpful.
Oh, very helpful. It was very helpful for me. Because then I know, then you have a roadmap. Then you're not surprised when withdrawal says to you, "I don't know." Then you go like, "Oh no, you don't know. How am I going to get you to know?" Right? It's almost like I expect them to tell me I don't know. now I have some ideas about how to work with that. And then, so first of all, then I'm not as anxious about it, right? So I'll be calmer. Then I'll be more present with them. But if I'm anxious, then it's hard for me to be present. Then I start to go into this my own anxiety, that somehow I suck as a therapist. I can't even get people to know the feeling, what is wrong with me, right? So, you know the whole works, right? All right. So let's talk about this withdrawal re-engagement in a bit more detail, okay, guys? So this is where a previous distant, inhibited, defended, stonewalling partner emerge and engage with their enactment in sessions. So this is when the withdrawal comes out and play. Right? They're willing to come out, they're more accessible. Now they go from I don't know to I know something. And they're willing to own some of it, right? The feelings, emotions, and they can perhaps even pass it over to a partner. They took some risk, right? And in attachment terms, now the withdrawal now become more accessible, and they're able to stay more emotionally engaged with themselves and with others. That's important. A lot of times withdrawals, they go inside themselves. Sometimes they might even disassociate. They distract or something. They numb out, right? So they're no longer in tune with what's happening to them, and never mind about to the partner. So in doing this work, we help them to stay more in tune about how they're feeling. So when withdrawal says, I don't know, we get it, but we're going to help them to know a little bit each time. We help them, we conjecture, because we have a roadmap, so we can help with that. If they give us thoughts and not feelings, we'll say things like, when you think this way, how do you feel? We'll build from that. Next time when they come back, I'm going to probably talk about again what they shared with me last week. We might even put it back in the cycle, right? And that's why when we keep repeating the cycle again with the emotion and the behavior encompassing, now each time you circle that stuff with both partners, withdrawal is going to be, they're going to know more, right? Now they're buying into it, right? Because you're repeating it back to them. He or she can coherently express their hurts now, their fear, the model of self, and others killed by those emotions. So now they are more likely to share more about the emotions with their partner. Whereas before they would shut down, more or less. But now they can talk about that, right? He or she can now reach for and ask for response that they need from their partner. This is your step 7, right? They can actually say, I need this. I need you to stop beating me up. I won't get it right all the time, but I just don't want you to criticize me every time, right? So that may be an example of that. Examples of step 7, like asking for needs. So I want you to notice the difference between what they each ask for, the withdrawers and the pursuers. And these are just examples. I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously. Withdrawers, things they might ask for is like, I've been so afraid not meeting the standards. I have shut you out. I numbed you out. I did not know what else to do, so I get paralyzed. I do want us to be close, and I don't want you to hurt, to be lonely, but I'm not going to walk on eggshells anymore. I want to dance with you, but not with you keeping scores. I think we can do this now. I want us to try. So that's him asking for what he needs, right? I don't want you to keep scores. I don't want you to tell me what I'm doing wrong all the time, right? That's an example, right? Because again, what is typically a withdrawal's emotion is this fear about not being good enough, right? And then the pursuer criticize them on not doing it right. So I want you to stop. I don't want you to keep telling me that I'm not doing it right all the time. So now they can actually talk about their hurts and now actually say what I need from you so that I don't always have to feel this hurt. Does that make sense here? About what a withdrawal typically might ask. Again, that's not the only thing they'll ask. I mean, that's something that will be an example. Okay? Make sense? I gave you different examples. Okay. Blame and softening. There are 2 prerequisites for that in order for we start to work at this stage. Okay? So don't jump right into blame and softening without doing the other steps. First, you need a de-escalation. If this couple haven't de-escalated, don't even try, right? And also because you also need the withdrawers re-engagement first. Again, we talked about it earlier. If the withdrawal doesn't come out and play, they're not accessible, the pursuer, it's not safe for her or him to come out and talk about their vulnerability. Because if I actually did share my vulnerability, and the withdrawals is nowhere to be found, right? Then as a pursuer, I'm going to be really, really upset, right? So this is where a previous hostile, critical spouse were able to assess some of the softer feelings. So instead of saying, like, being angry and upset all the time, now I can talk about this fear that I'm not important to you. Do I matter to you? Like what the wife was saying to the husband, do I matter? I feel like I don't matter to you. I don't even know whether you need me. You can drive, peel your own orange all by yourself, but where do I fit in your life? And for that couple that we were talking about earlier, and I asked you, what's it like for you to hear that your husband actually do need you? She said, that's good. Because like I am important to him. Right? So the reason why she doesn't feel this fear, why she have this fear of not being needed, is because she wants to be needed. When you're needed, that means you are important to this person. You do matter. So that her fear is that the husband only sticks around in the marriage for the kids, or it's because it's convenience, or because just something to do. It's not because she actually matters to him, right? So that's why it was hurting her. So in this vulnerable stage, the previously hostile partner can now ask for attachment needs to be met. I'm lonely. Could you come over? Could you hug me? So at this point, they can be more attuned to each other, responsive, and this is where a bonding event can occur here. Usually we see this is one of the bigger turning points. According to research, this is a really key turning point for EFT to be successful, is when the blamer can soften, can re-engage, and there's some new so the softening are crucial. Because if you can soften the blamer, then they'll always get back into the dance, right? Because they will be in the protective state. So able to soften. And the way you soften is by talking more about the primary emotion. We might use validation to validate the anger. Why they are so upset? Well, because you feel lonely. You feel like your partner is so far away. If I don't yell louder, they're not going to get to you. So you have to get their reaction. Sometimes even negative reaction is better than no reaction at all. So you poke them, right? Just to get some response. It makes sense. You miss the guy because he's been withdrawing. He's nowhere to be found. But you really want him to be here. So you start to get louder. You start to get more aggressive. Now, of course, that pushes him away too. We go back to the cycle, but I see what you're doing. Is that right? You really miss the guy? Yes. Does he know you really miss him? I guess it's at home, they don't really get to talk about that, right? So again, enactment over, right? So now we're passing more primary emotions. So the softening happens, and usually in their research, that's a really crucial piece in terms of whether EFT is successful or not. Is that piece? At least one of the pieces. Questions around blamer softening? No, we're good? All right. There's 6 shifts in this process of softening. Again, I'm just going to quickly go over it. This isn't a key in this course. In core skill, you will do this a lot. In the next course, like after externship, if you do the externship, the one after externship will be called the core skill. And you do a lot more work with this. But at least let me highlight this for you a bit, okay? So there's 6 steps to this. One is the possible blamer reaching, okay? So to do softening of the blamer, almost like you're wondering about, for example, again, the loneliness, right? So we might talk about things like after we deepen the emotion, we talk about the body sensation. I might even ask the partner, say, Estelle, what would that be like for you actually tell your partner about this? Does he know? No? Well, what do you think that'd be like if you did share with your partner about this loneliness? Because at home, you don't do that, right? At home, you just be upset with him. I wonder what would that be like for you? So you might talk about, well, that'll be scary to talk about it because I don't think he's going to respond to me. I don't know. Maybe now with some work we do here, maybe he would, but I still not sure. So we're looking at a possibility, right? And number two, we process the fear of reaching. Well, of course it's scary for you to reach for your partner. Because at home, in the past, when you've done it, he wasn't able to catch you all the time, right? And a lot of times he shut down. He doesn't go there with you, right? But then still, after we process the fear, I'm going to say, but do you think you could actually tell him that? About how scary this is for you? How lonely you feel? Right? So we're still going to try to get her to do the enactment, to actually reach for the partner, right? And after that, again, we do the enactment, the processing, right? We're going to process what that's like for you. We talk about supporting you. Wow, that took such great risk for you, right? Because at home, what doesn't take risk is you get angry, you yell. That doesn't take risk, right? Then because you're in the power position, you can do that. But here, when you took a risk and tell your partner about how scary that is for you, right? Or how lonely you felt, right? So I like that. So, and then step 5 is I want also to process with the withdrawer. What's it like for you to hear that? So we're processing, what's it like, the part that you like, the part you didn't like, whatever, right? The 2 parts, always, yeah? And then we'll come back in supporting the withdrawers to reach back. So whatever feelings that like the withdrawers have processed, the part that I like hearing it because I'm not being screamed at. I actually feel bad that my wife felt scary. Felt like this fear around not able to reach me, that this loneliness, right? And could you say that back to your partner, that you feel bad about that? That you like that she took the risk of telling you, that she let you in, right? So again, we do the reaching back. So you see the 6 steps? It's pretty much your enactment, really. The tango, the 5 moves of the tango, pretty much about that, okay? But from their research, those 6 steps are pretty key, like the shift of how to move a softening process happening, is those are very typical. Questions about this? We're good? Yeah? Okay. Look at time, I think it's almost time for a break. So let's talk about examples of a pursuer step 7. So again, asking for needs, right? So the way they ask for their needs are slightly different than withdrawers, obviously. Step 7 usually is things like, I want you to hold me to make me feel safe. I need you to help me hold back the dark. So remember, pursuers, their primary emotion typically is like loneliness. Do I matter to you? So what they ask for is basically that the withdrawer's present. I need you to be here. Hold me. Let me know that you're here with me, right? So those are typical. Not always about holding, but typically it's about you coming closer to me. Okay, that's the very typical things that a pursuer might be asking for, right? Because again, whatever they're asking for is meeting their worst fear, is that I'm going to be all alone, that you don't actually want me, that I'm going to be by myself. I don't matter to you.